The summer of 2002 changed my life forever. I was 15 years old, had just finished the 8th grade, and developed a set of respectably wide shoulders. My pubescent body wasn't yet accustomed to its size, and as a result, I was gangly and uncoordinated. But the groundwork had been laid. I simply had to develop the dexterity and control it took to operate my flailing limbs. My father, a college quarterback turned career man, was convinced that his son would not take the same road of cubicle-dwelling monotony that, if one is successful, leads to corporate food chain politicking. Or, if his son did go that route, he would at least know how to get his hands dirty. "Son," my dad sternly boomed over the first breakfast of that summer, "you're going to stay at your uncle's ranch for 2 months to learn to be a man." My father had decided my fate before the first forkful of syrup-saturated pancakes had breached my gullet. And so it was. I didn't argue with the man or make any appeals to my kinder, gentler mother, knowing that any progress I made with her would be visited upon her head in the form of harsh, close-fisted blows from my father. We drove to Montana the next day, 16 hours straight from Pasadena, stopping only to fill up on gas and yell slurs at Asians. Upon arrival, we were greeted warmly by my Uncle Don, Aunt Barb, and their golden retriever, Lucy. My father and his brother embraced each other deeply, the way only brothers can, with the tips of their penises touching through their jeans. Pops patted me on the back firmly and wished me luck. Now, my Uncle Don was known for a few things: his fine cow's milk, which was distributed in 4 states, his German-Irish work ethic that put the calluses on his palms and the food on his table, and his insatiable sexual appetite. He was a big man, 6'3" and barrel-chested. His forearms strained the rolled cuffs of his work shirt, threatening to split the seams without mercy. He had a calm air about him, like a big oak tree. If a tornado had come across the plains, I don't doubt that Uncle Don could stand right in the eye of the thing, arms crossed, unmoving and unblinking. My Aunt Barb helped me set up shop inside. A freshly made bed and a mechanical alarm clock were the only things in the room. She got me an old work shirt from the closet, kindly encouraging me to remove my Spider-Man t-shirt, telling me it was for faggots who like to sword fight with their erect penises. "The day begins at 4:30 a.m. You'll need to milk the cows first," she said. "Then your uncle will have you haul lumber to the auxiliary shed he's attaching on the west wall of the barn. Cows first, though." Of course, milking the cows on a modern dairy farm is nothing like the days of yore where one would hunch down on a milking stool as if he was about to make poop on a woman's chest. Now everything is mechanized, automatic. An octopus-looking apparatus, aptly named a milker, is attached to the udder on one end and to a vacuum on the other. My job was to coax the cow's udder into the suction cups and turn the machine on. Nothing too difficult, or so I thought. It turns out that cows aren't too keen on a 4:30 a.m. fondling. They mooed and shifted sharply in their pens as I tried my best to gently slip the soft, pinkish blobs of their flesh into a whirring tube. After all was said and done, it was 5:45, twice as long as it should have taken me. My Uncle Don had overseen the entire operation with his arms crossed, breaking his stance only to sip his coffee. He wasn't pleased with my rookie performance and gave me a stern warning. "Boy, if you're ever that slow again, I'll give you a whooping that'll make you wish you were an adulterous woman being stoned by a bunch of Arabs." My uncle wasn't politically correct, but he made up for it in character, and he had a huge wiener, so no one argued with him. Over the next 8 weeks, I learned how to chop wood, set a foundation, replace a blown head gasket, tap a well, grill a steak, extinguish a creosote fire, tar and shingle a roof. I learned how to shave a horse's nutsack, give a goat the willies, share a secret with a cow, give a chicken gas, and how to do things right. By the end of it all, I didn't want to leave. I'd grown to love the satisfaction one reaps from a day of manual labor, of walking into the kitchen at sundown with a briny collar and dirt rings around my wrists, where the cuff of my gloves met my forearms. We'd eat together, no TV chirping in the background, no music, just the sound of the open windows. One night, toward the end of my tenure, I was sitting on the fence outside performing my post-dinner ritual, whittling a light hunk of pine into a small sculpture of two strong men raping each other. The front door behind me creaked and produced two loving figures, their silhouettes blurring into one at the middle. My Uncle Don and Aunt Barb approached me, fingers intertwined, eyes gleaming in the moonlight. "Andrew," he said, "as an expression of our gratitude, your aunt and I want to do three-way sex with you. What do you say?" Aunt Barb smiled wryly and tucked her head into the crook of her husband's neck. "I can't, Uncle Don. I've got an early morning tomorrow," I said. Uncle Don unhinged from his wife's loving grasp and sidled up next to me. "Attaboy," he said, and he pat me on the back with a suspiciously wet hand. That night, I retired to my room, sticky and exhausted from the day's work. I craned my head out the window to breathe in the cool Montana air. Loud sex noises emanated from the barn 100 yards away, my aunt and uncle consumed with animalistic lust, probably playing with each other's rectums, and the animals' rectums too. This is what it's like being a man, I thought to myself. That was my last summer at Don's farm. He died later that year, asphyxiated from masturbating with a trailer chain around his neck. He was a kind man, my uncle, and I'll miss him always for what he taught me.